Hello everyone. Welcome to the God Principles. I'm William.
And I'm Charles.
We wanted to come back to you today, and we were going to be talking about surviving in the Philippines. God's principles in surviving in the Philippines.
Yep. We want to take a moment and ask you all for some prayers.
Yes, there was a huge fire here yesterday in Lapu-Lapu City where we live at, and it displaced maybe 300 families. It was a setup of families that live, and they were already poor, next to nothing, and now we're approaching the Christmas season, and guys, they were displaced, so they have nowhere to live. They're homeless, this whole community. And so we're just asking that you pray for them in this season. We appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. What are the principles of God? That has been the topic and theme of the God principles. And we're going to talk about how these principles have allowed us to survive, then thrive and excel in the Philippines. Like for instance, yesterday, I had some people come by. One of them I knew, and the rest of them were from a religious organization. They want to do a Bible study. I was cool with that. But after they left, I felt uncomfortable. And so I called William to discuss with him, just to release the feelings. It's the principle of open-mindedness. One of the God's principles is open-mindedness. It says you must open your mind to receive. God cannot put anything in a closed mind. So we've learned that here, especially I live this in my life, if I'm about to do something I haven't done, I'm going to try to find somebody that has, and there's no decision I got to make that's got to be made right now.
That's right.
I can always wait. What you got on that, Will?
Well, that's scriptural, Charles. The scripture says in the multitude of counselors, there's safety. And so a lot of times, whenever we're ready to make a decision, especially, remember now, we're on the other side of the world. This is what I always said. We're 8,500 miles away from New York City, on the other side of the world, literally. And so the decisions we make can make or break it, whether we're going to survive here in the Philippines. So it's good that those of us that have became friends that are here, that we run our decisions by one another before we make them, especially us that are spiritual.
Absolutely. Here in this subdivision, Bayswater subdivision, there are quite a few expats that live here. I find the relationships with those guys have been so beneficial to me adapting to living in the Philippines. It actually helps me to survive because we have to adapt not only to living here, but adapting to the culture. And they've made some mistakes and they share it with me, and I say, okay, I don't have to make that mistake. They've already told me about it. Yeah. So, I mean, just to give you another example, there's another guy, we took a video of him. It was Okolo and his wife, Jasmine. They were by here day before yesterday. I was supposed to record them, and he was telling me how he didn't lent a Filipino 90,000 pesos and didn't pay it back. That was a perfect example. I told him, you need to establish connections with people that are already here. I would have told you, do not lend a Filipino any money. unless you can afford to give it away, because
Yeah.
they don't pay it back.
No.
They don't. That's just the reality of it. And you can go against their experience at your own risk.
That's right.
That's what we own. You can't say, well, you didn't know. The other part that truly helps us is unity. How we're unified. We've, to establish new connections. Living here in this foreign country, it's a spiritual process that you will attract like-minded individuals. Like William and I, the guys over there that I meet at 10 o'clock in the morning, they over there drinking beer. I don't drink, but I can go over there and sit with them, and they can actually spot something going on. Like I was there a couple of days ago, and they asking me, are you okay? Because sometimes you just need somebody to talk to, and just to fill you in. It's like being open-minded to hearing how God will give you information you need if you're listening.
Yeah.
Now, you all know I was supposed to be in a relationship. It didn't work out, and I told them about it when it happened, and now they're giving me feedback information. Like, for instance, you may not want to be with a Filipina that's over 35 because she's set in her ways. Then they also said, be careful about getting them out of the province, because the province ones, they come with a different mindset. Like, you're going to see it on YouTube. There's a lot of negative stuff going out there, but it's the truth. I'm just going to be perfect. It's the truth. I mean, out in the Philippines, out in the provinces, they're at a level of poverty, and they're always trying to find ways to support the family. And a Filipina woman is a likely resource. They start working and filtering money back to their family because of the level of poverty that they grew up with. What you got on there, William?
Well, I think that, remember that we're in what you would call a third world country, or a country that's still coming up in its infrastructure and its way of life. It's not a first world country, guys. So when we say poverty, it's different than what we over in the US or the West think of. It's a little different than what we think of as poverty. Number one, the biggest difference to me is their social system is non-existent. There is no social agency that you could get SNAP benefits or food stamps or housing help. Those things are not here. And so when you're talking about the province, we're talking about almost jungle-like rural areas where people have maybe little farm chickens and maybe things like that, but they don't have a lot, but they're very strong in family value. So any foreigner is seen as an ATM, for lack of a better word. They're seen as money. And love is secondary to them bettering their situation. So you have to be aware of that no matter who you meet, especially if you're meeting someone from that sort of poverty, that you're seen as money.
Yep, that is absolutely true. But it's the same in America. When you want to have a relationship with another woman, they want to make sure that you have the means to provide them the kind of lifestyle that they would want, or at least elevate their lifestyle. So I expect that. But here, it's a little stronger, because if you don't do it, somebody's going to be doing without. If in America, if you don't have it, you always had some kind of system where you could fall back on. They don't have that here. And that brought the other principle that I had to learn. It was about unconditional love. See, we talked about the traumas that we come here with, right? And you and I talked about that because we come from such a traumatic situation, we will come in here and people please with them. And that is a desire to be loved, but it may stem as deep as from our childhood. Like in my particular case, my mom died when I was 4 years old. So there was some emotional development that I had to recover from in the recovery process, that I even know some of this stuff. You know, I've been living through that all my life, but now I know how to say no, because when I say no and draw a healthy boundary, I'm not only loving myself, but I'm loving them too.
It is. I think that you can never get away from the fact that wherever you go, you take you. And the one common denominator, no matter where you go in the world, we happen to be in the Philippines, you take yourself. So the question that we all need to ask ourselves before we decide to come 8,500 miles away to a third world country that we're trying to establish a new life in, those of us that are expats, what is your why? Why did you go? What circumstances in your life led you to that decision to be here? And once you know the why, for me, I understood what I was looking for. Then I had to know what I was looking for if it was a relationship, which it was at that time. I'm married now, so I did end up in a relationship, but I met the family. I understood that to marry a younger woman that is half my age, she's 33, I'm 67, it was a trade-off. There's things in life that she still yet hadn't done.
Yeah.
There's things in life I already did that was in my rear view mirror. So the trade-off was she was going to, you know, accept a man with more age, but also I was also going to provide financial security for her. So a lot of us guys, we come to a country like the Philippines thinking that you're still in the US. It's not the US. If you're going to be with a girl, let's say that's half your age, there's a reason for that. So you got to be willing to deal with what the trade-offs are, because guys, and these are spiritual principles.
Yes.
There are trade-offs to any kind of relationship between December and May relationships. There's a trade-off. The question is, are you willing to have your principles in that relationship? Where do you stand? What's the line you won't cross? That's sort of the question.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You know, when you were talking about that, the May-December relationships, it brought me to memory of several years back. I went to pay a man back that I had borrowed $20 from, and I went into the hospital and I hadn't seen him for years, so I went to visit him in my old neighborhood and they gave him his money because it bothered my conscience. And so when I went there, he started telling me about, and he's told me this story before, but it went over my head. He told me he was 90-something years old. His wife was 65. Remember the mate? And he told me, he said he met his wife when he was 65 and she was 30-something. He was teaching. He had retired from his federal job and he was teaching, and she and him decided to get together, and she made the decision that the lifestyle she was living with her family wasn't going nowhere, so she chose to divorce her family and go with him, which is that's what gave me the idea that those December-May relationships do work. You just don't have a lot of examples in America. Right. You just don't.
The only examples there are, let's first say, guys, that it's not really accepted in the American culture. They look at it as we're dirty old men if you're with a woman that's half your age. And literally, and then unless, there is unlesses. You're a rapper, you're a movie star, you're a baller. Because a lot of our movie stars, they've married women 1/3 their age. But it's okay for them because they're movie stars. And it's accepted in America because this is the big star. But they're not going to talk about he has the 25-year-old wife. But if you or I do that in America, we're dirty old men. So it's a double standard. Over here, not even that it's accepted. It's just common.
Yeah.
It's common. So, I mean, the question always is, if you had a daughter, this is what I asked them. If you had a daughter and she came to you with a 65-year-old man and your daughter was 25 and said, Dad, I want to introduce you to my fiance.
You talking about me with?
You know, how would you feel about it? But we come over here to this country and we meet a girl 33, I'm 67, and she introduces me to her mom and says, Mom, look, this is my fiance. I mean, so what do we expect? Let me say this. Their parents are way more open than what I probably would have been. Yeah. So it's a different culture.
When you said that, the last girl I was dating in America before I came here, her parents said, don't you bring nobody in here older than us. And I am older than him, you know. And so that's when you said that's like, oh, here we go, talking about me, you know. And even here, the girl I was dating, I'm older than her parents. But here's the thing that you were talking about, introducing them to experiences in life that they had never experienced.
Yes.
And I want people out there, especially if you got children, remember what it was like when you were introducing your children to the things that you liked and they found so much joy in them. You know, like for me, I have one son, and the thing that he and I enjoyed that I introduced him to was fishing. Out of all of my experiences as his father, he remembers that experience with great love and joy. And I'm real proud of that. And he even goes fishing to the day. He sends me pictures. I don't go as much, but you know, there are some positive things that you can get out of being in a healthy relationship. Keyword healthy. Whoa, that's a big word there. I got to put the phone down for that one. All right. What is a healthy relationship? I was in therapy and the guy told me it's where you can be you, I can be me, and we can be us. You can grow, I can grow, and we can grow.
Absolutely.
That's the therapeutic definition of a healthy relationship.
And you know, that's good, Charles, because that fits the subject of what we're talking about, surviving in the Philippines according to God's principles. Because principles are principles. No matter what. God has there's a rule of life that's established. They're God's principles. We can violate them if we want, but they're still there. If I go up to a mountain range here and I jump off the top of that mountain, I ain't going up. The law of gravity says I'm going down. There's certain rules that you got to abide by here in the Philippines and have your principles intact, or else you're going to sabotage your stay here in the Philippines. If you violate them principles, you're going to find yourself in a world of trouble.
Because even though, you know, I don't bring Bible verses in there, but if you look closely, there's a chapter in the Bible where it says God is, and it's a list of principles, you know, perseverance, all these principles that are the attributes of God. And I've tried to I've learned to incorporate them into my life because I found them to be a good North Star in guiding my actions.
And so I agree with you. And just to piggyback on what you said, I'm married to a 33-year-old woman. We've been married for 4 months now. We've been in a relationship for three, almost 4 years. It's a healthy marriage because it was built on principles. I'm meeting her needs, she meeting mine. And together we just mesh because the principles are in force.
But you know something, it was something you told me, and it's like, you know, I told the principle of open-mindedness. You told me that she realized that you were going to upgrade her lifestyle, and she made sure that she had the right, what's the word, boundaries in place with her family and stuff like that. So you are on the same page about what you're doing, and the direction it was going to go. And I was like, okay, that's the principle of open-mindedness.
Yes.
You know, open-mindedness is going to save you. And as long as you get along with the right people, boots on the ground here, it will start to help your transition to this environment really go well.
Yes.
Because, do you want to answer that question that guy asked you about? He had that whole list. I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah, he had a list. He had a list of different questions that he was saying that, you know, he was a gentleman that was ex-military, and he's thinking about next year moving to the Philippines, and he really wanted to know, you know, about the lifestyle there, healthcare, school environment, entertainment. He had a list of things that he wanted us to talk about because he needed to know before he uprooted and got rid of his life in the U.S. Did he, you know, he wanted to know if he had a chance at being successful here.
And what we're going to do is, that's going to be on the next video, because we've gone to 20 minutes, and we want to thank you for watching. There are going to be some links down in the description. You can schedule a consultation and contact me or William, because I can forward it to him. He's watching the comments. If you need to contact us, we're getting the things set up so that we can have consultations. I'm going to be able to teach you how to make money so that you can start building a lifestyle in the United States that you can transition to here, because you don't have to wait till you to this age to retire to come here. If you set it up right with your personal brand, you can make this in 6 months or less.
Yes.
So I want to thank you for watching. Hit like and subscribe, and watch for this video, because after this we're fixing to do another one.